What is up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the JCP Podcast. Welcome back. Oh, today we got an episode for you. I got an episode for you. Plan for War is the title of this episode. Planning for war. Right now, there's a cold front moving in. I'm ready. I'm planning. I got an intro quote for you. It's by John F. Kennedy. He says, "The time to prepare the roof is when the sun is shining." The time to prepare the roof is when the sun is shining. This quote is saying that you don't plan for bad things to happen when they're happening. You don't plan for the storm when the storm is happening. You learn the lesson from the storm if you didn't plan for it. You plan for bad things to happen when times are good, right? When times are good, when the sun is shining outside, that's when you plan for it. Seeing the potential problems on the horizon is a determinant of your success or your health of your business. It's not the problem that defines your future. It's how you deal with the problem that defines your future. Again, it's not the problem itself. It's how you deal with that problem that's going to define your success or your future or the health of your business. So today we're going to dive into how to prepare for the worst while expecting the best, how to be wise about problems, how to plan for war, because there's going to be battles, there's going to be a war coming your way. If you're lucky enough to see it, there's going to be a war. If you're out there trying, trust me, there's going to be a war. And we'll talk about how failing to plan ahead is the reason that you actually fail. So let's dive in. To be a successful business owner, leader, parent, spouse, friend, you need to prepare for the tough times or the downsides that you're going to have in life so that when they happen, and they happen often, they often do happen. If you're lucky enough, like I said, to live that long, they will happen, and your army and you need to be ready for when they do. You need to be ready for that turbulence. A person naive enough to not pan out and see everything is they're unknowingly planning for perfect success. So if you're not planning ahead of things, you're actually planning for perfect success. And does perfect success ever happen? It's not a reality. Turbulence is going to happen. When things are going smoothly, most people expect things to keep going smoothly. Think of like a long airplane flight. Okay, think of life like a long airplane flight. Now, I've been on a ton of plane rides. I've seen most people just get comfortable, put their earbuds in, tune everything out, and watch a nice movie, or even fall asleep. That is until the turbulence hits. And when turbulence happens, and again, it will happen, it finally makes people take the earbuds out. Finally makes people wake up and attune to their environment. You know, there's this story of this boy, a tale of the boy and the storm. And it goes like this. It says, "Once upon a time, in a small village nestled at the edge of a dense forest, there lived a young boy named Liam. He was an adventurous child who loved to explore the woods, climb trees, and he chased after the birds. He lived with his grandmother, who often warned him about the storms that could come swiftly through the valley. 'Be careful, Liam,' she would say. 'A storm can suddenly strike. Always be prepared and make sure you have shelter ready when it does.' But Liam, full of youthful confidence, always dismissed her warnings. He would say, 'Storms take too long to arrive, Gran. I'm fine. I'll just run home if anything happens.' And one afternoon, after a long day of exploring the forest, like boys do, I mean, come on now, Liam stayed out longer than usual, chasing a deer into the woods. He was having so much fun that he didn't notice the sky darkening ahead. The wind picked up, and within minutes, dark clouds swirled above him. Suddenly, the rain poured down in sheets, and the wind howled through the trees. Liam looked around frantically, realizing he was too far from home and had no shelter. His heart raced as thunder cracked, and the forest felt alive with danger. He ran, but the rain made the ground slippery, and he struggled to make progress. As he stumbled, cold and soaked to the bone, he finally saw a small cave hidden under a large boulder. He scrambled into the shelter, shivering from the cold, but grateful for the protection it offered. He waited out the storm, remembering his grandmother's words. By the time the storm passed, Liam had learned a valuable lesson. The lesson was this: while adventure and spontaneity are important, being prepared is essential for safety and peace of mind. Peace of mind. If he had listened to his grandmother's warnings and taken the time to prepare before venturing out, he would have been much more comfortable and secure. And from that day forward, Liam made sure to always carry a small emergency kit, a map, and a plan when he went on his adventures. He also took the time to learn about the weather, understanding how to read the signs and prepare for whatever came his way. The point of the story is that he learned the point of the story. He learned the hard way. He learned the lesson the hard way. He did not take the wise advice of his grandmother, and he was not prepared for the storm. On the other hand, there's a lot of stories out that, especially right now, of stories of people and companies that prepared the right way. In the case of the horrific wildfires in California these past few months, there was a hot button topic around State Farm and what they did in 2023 prior to the fires, the last few months that's been going on. So this is like going to be a recap of what happened with that whole scenario. So they essentially ceased accepting new property insurance applications in May of 2023. So almost 2 years ago. And these are the three biggest factors of why they did it. So first of all, the risk of wildfires was going up. The state of California experienced a significant increase in wildfires with over 15,000 fires from 2021 to 2023. It put more risk for the people who were insured. So the people who had insurance with State Farm were at higher risk of losing their home because of wildfires. Red flag number one for State Farm. Rising construction costs was another red flag. So this means building a new house or a new building is getting more and more expensive year after year. To State Farm, the red flag here is that if the fires kept happening, they would be paying for a more expensive building than when they insured it. Year after year after year. So they're paying more than usual. Red flag number two. And the third one, it takes a little bit of explaining, but essentially it was hard to get reinsurance for State Farm. Now, what reinsurance is, I had no idea prior to making this, but I looked it up and did some research on it. So reinsurance is when an insurer, so State Farm is the insurer, gets its own insurance on their insurance. Okay, stay with me here. They get their own insurance on their insurance. So basically, they'll go to another company and make a deal saying, if this contract with this homeowner goes south, and we have to pay him insurance, so if the contract with this homeowner, they end up losing their house, that's going south, then this deal is saying that this other company is going to have to help us in that scenario. So State Farm obviously pays the other insurance company money up front, which is called a premium, to get this reinsurance. And in this case, in California, the wildfires were so prone to happen that it was almost impossible for them to get reinsurance, making them pretty much 100% liable to pay out the insurers on whatever happened to their home. So let's say there was a massive wildfire. They were not going to get any help. State Farm was not going to get any help from any other company. So, red flag number 3. So what State Farm ended up doing was they stopped all new policies. So they stopped all accepting new applications for property insurance in the state of California to try to mitigate the potential losses of the increased risks in wildfires. They also canceled about 72,000 homeowners insurance policies in California, particularly the ones in the high-risk wildfire areas. So they canceled about 72,000 homeowners insurance policies. And then the third thing that they did was they requested a 22% increase in home insurance rates in the state of California. So essentially they were trying to cover the escalating costs of them having to pay out more than they were getting in, essentially. So they did this because they saw three huge red flags, right? Increase in wildfires, they couldn't get reinsurance, and the buildings were going up year after year. So those three red flags in 2023, they were like, heck, we got to do something. And don't get me wrong, think about it. They were doing pretty dang well in California. They were actually the largest provider of homeowners insurance prior to pulling out in 2023. The largest provider of homeowners insurance in the state of California prior to pulling out. At one point, they had over 1 million homeowners insured in the state of California. Bingo, they were doing really well. It was like sun shining on the roof. They were doing well. It wasn't even raining. It wasn't raining. But they saw a war on the horizon, and they decided to prepare for it. And no, this is on a super large scale, but hopefully this makes a point. And honestly, I was just curious with what happened because it was kind of like a hot button topic. So I wanted to research it. And so that's what happened. Now, how on an everyday scale can you put into action to preparing for turbulence in your own life? Well, here are a few tips to do it. You ready? All right. Tip number 1, how to prepare for turbulence in your own life on an everyday scale. Number 1, prepare on a weekly or monthly basis. Look at your week on a Sunday. Or if you're really ambitious and you want to go against the grain and you feel that you can budget out some time on a Saturday, do it on a Saturday. Do it on a Saturday. Most people don't plan at all, let alone on a Sunday, let alone on a Saturday. Who does that? So plan on a Saturday night. I think at the end of your week, that's a good time to plan, but Sundays work too. So they're always good. Either or. Plan for the unexpected events. Literally look at your week and visualize the whole week from start to finish. And spend 15, 20, I would say 30 minutes at least looking at your week and thinking about all the things that could happen, the unexpected events. The traffic, going to work. The traffic getting to the biggest meeting you have that week. How early are you going to wake up? Plan all that stuff out so that when it happens, you don't even have to think about it. Don't even have to think about it. Visualize how it's going to be on the next Saturday night when you're planning for the next week. Number 2, prepare for the year. Now you can start with looking at your prior year, have a review, and look toward what you want to accomplish the next year after you've reviewed the year before. Look at all the pros, the cons, the things that you did well, the things that went well, the things that didn't go well, the lessons you learned from the things that you didn't prepare for in the year before. You better be sure you're preparing for that the next year, because if you don't, it's going to bite you in the butt again, which is going to be a kick in the butt again. And really, really be honest with yourself. This is a time to lose your ego and just be super honest about what the challenges you're going to face. Get into the details. Go with what the things you want to accomplish, and then look at the challenges. Look at the hardships that you're going to have to go through that year. The potential risks that you're going through. How long are you going to be away from home for this period of time? What is that going to do? How can you prepare for being away from home for that long? Are you going to work harder beforehand? Probably. You have a 2-week vacation this year? Well, you should probably get some stuff done before you go on that vacation. Again, be realistic with yourself. You're only hurting yourself if you're not being realistic in planning. And then number 3, plan for the next 5 to 10 years. This is getting out there. This is really reaching. Where will you be in 5 years? Are you going to start a family in 5 years? Are the kids going to move out of the house in 5 years? Are you going to have a new house in 5 years? Are you going to live in a new state in 5 years? Are you going to have a new job in 5 years? Will you be in a new decade of your life? Are you going to be in your 40s? Are you going to be in your 50s? Are you going to be in your 30s? In your 20s? Where are you going to be? And then heaven forbid, again, plan for the unexpected. Heaven forbid, on a real note, plan for unexpected, deaths that could happen in the family. Maybe you have that person in your life that's getting up there in age, and in the next 5 years, it doesn't look like they might not be around in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years. Again, heaven forbid, nobody wants to think about that. That's why nobody really does. How is that going to happen? How are you going to feel when it happens? Again, plan for the unexpected. Now go 10 years. It may be painful to plan that far out, but the clearer the picture, the more confident and straight your path is going to be to accomplishing what you want to accomplish. Again, the clearer the picture you have, the more straight and the easier the obstacles are going to be on the way there. The less you get caught off guard, too. The less you're going to be caught off guard. I'll tell you what. Now, of course, you're going to be caught off guard, even if you plan for it. I mean, the things that sometimes you get the most caught off guard for the things you even plan for, because you're like, that'll never happen, but I'll plan for it anyway. And then you get caught off guard, and you're like, what the heck? But I will tell you what, even though you were caught off guard, even though you planned for it, it's not going to derail everything you worked hard to achieve. It's not going to totally derail everything. Because in some instance, your subconscious already went through that scenario because you already thought of it. And making that decision was a lot easier in that time. And in good times especially, you got to plan. Because as time has taught us that all great things must come to an end. Thus, making the most out of what you have now, it'll keep you in the moment. When that sun's shining on that house, it might feel pretty good. Maybe you'll get a suntan up there until, the storm comes. So I'm here to tell you that your life flight, the flight of your life, that long flight, it's going to be long. It's going to be long. And it's going to have 100% chance of turbulence. 100%. So make your flight matter. Take your headphones out, wake up, and tune in so you can be ready when that turbulence comes. So that is it for this episode of the JCP Podcast. If this was helpful, if you enjoyed it in any way, if you thought it was helpful just to hear some tips or just some perspective on it, leave a like, follow the podcast. That way you stay up to date. It'll send you notifications every week when it comes out on Monday. A new episode will remind you to get on Spotify. It's 20, 25 minutes, whatever it is. It's not that long. Listen to it on a Sunday, Monday, whatever it is. Also, one thing that is very, very helpful in growing the podcast and reaching more people, and also honestly really helpful for me, is if you share this with just one person that you think is going to get some added value out of this, someone that likes personal development, someone that wants to grow themselves, someone that you're like, this might just be good for them. I'll give it a listen, just hit the share button, send it to them, send it to your contact, put their contact in. It takes like 2 seconds to send it to somebody. I'm sure you have that one person that you want to send it to. So send it to them. It doesn't take too long. And it helps me, of course. It helps the podcast grow, but also, in the long run, it helps them add some value in some way. So share it with somebody, leave a comment, give me some feedback. I always love feedback as well. And again, I'm dedicated to adding value to those who are striving to be better and leading themselves, their business, or their community. So stay tuned for next week. And as always, let's get after it. Peace.